Uh-oh.
Okay, we'll start with this. It's official. Heavy-hitting Elif Nur Turhan signs to Matchroom. Lightweight puncher Elif Nur Turhan has unsurprisingly signed with Matchroom following her rapid-fire stoppage win over Shauna Brown of Ireland last month. Promoter Hrgovic was impressed by the 29-year-old from Istanbul and immediately called for some of the major names in the division. Based on that showing, the Q2 face, the 10-0, 6 knockouts Turk, will not be long. Turhan, pictured above on the right, is managed by Ertan Sen of Box Promotion in Germany. I'm incredibly excited to be teaming up with Hrgovic and Matchroom Boxing, said Turhan. I have worked so hard to get myself to this position, and now, with the backing of Matchroom and my manager, Ertan Sen, I can push on to make myself one of the most recognized fighters on the planet. I have a fan-friendly style and always look to finish the show early. My aim is to win multiple world titles and cement my legacy as one of the best fighters in the world. If you don't want to bleed in the ring, you have to sweat in training. Hearn said he's not seen a bigger puncher in women's boxing. Elif brings action and vicious intentions every time she steps in the ring, said the promoter. Her team had been messaging me for a long time, asking for just one chance, and she grabbed it with both hands by delivering one of the best knockouts I've seen in women's boxing last month in Belfast. Elif took the fight against Shauna Brown on about 10 days' notice and showed us all what she is capable of. She is a huge puncher and will no doubt become one of the most exciting fighters in women's boxing. She managed to stop Shauna off a counter left hook in the very first round. It was the left hook heard round the world. Her manager said it was time for the next chapter of his fighter's career. Elif gave fight fans around the world a small glimpse of what she is capable of in Belfast last month, said Sen. Fans want to see action and knockouts. Elif delivers both of those in abundance. I am very happy to make this deal with Matchroom Boxing, who we both consider to be the #1 promotional company in the world. Stop with dreaming and start doing. Sporting a professional record of 10 wins with no losses, no draws, 6 knockouts, Elif really is a devastating puncher. The question is, can she stay in character as she climbs up the ranks, as she climbs in levels? Before the Shauna Brown fight, she saw action 3 times last year. Once in March, again in May, then again in December. The Shauna Brown fight was her first fight of this year. 5-0 Shauna Brown, who much like Elif, is still just a prospect. We have to see if that power continues to carry as Elif takes on better competition. It's not uncommon that as you go fighting better fighters, they're harder to knock out for a variety of reasons. Immediately after her knockout win of Shauna Brown, I heard a blurb that she's become the mandatory challenger for Caroline Dubois. I don't know how true that is because she doesn't appear anywhere in the World Boxing Council's ranked standings, and she's not registered as their interim champion. Elif's name does not appear in the World Boxing Council's ranked standings, or the WBA's, or the WBO's, or the IBF's. So if I'm Matchroom and I just signed this fighter to a promotional agreement, I would go ahead and get her a Jessica Kamara fight. Jessica Kamara, who's ranked #1 with both the WBA and the WBO. She's impressive, but at only 10-0, there's more work needs doing and more experiences that Elif needs to have. Questions as to whether or not Matchroom is still committed to growing the women's game. It appears they are because they're still signing fighters. They signed Elif. Bit of a curious signing a Turkish lightweight, and we'll see what they can do for her. But once again, if I'm Matchroom, I go ahead and book her a Jessica Kamara fight for her next fight. That's a good acid test for Elif. Somebody like that, or perhaps Yanina Lescano. She's been in there with a lot of good fighters. Licia Budersa, these kinds of fighters. These are the kind of fighters that I want to see Elif take on moving forward to see if she can stay in character, to gauge just what exactly can she do at a higher level. But so far, so good. Elsewhere in the world of boxing, veteran fighter and promoter Oscar De La Hoya says Devin Haney has the look of a shot fighter. With 1 month to go before the one-of-a-kind May 2nd Times Square boxing event, promoter Oscar De La Hoya has 3 fighters entered with the chance to sweep the triple header. That's the hope, of course. It's very possible that it could go the other way around too, but those are all quality fights, De La Hoya told Boxing Scene on Wednesday. De La Hoya's Golden Boy Promotions has the most riding on America's most popular fighter, Ryan Garcia, who will return from a 1-year suspension to meet former WBA champion Rolly Romero in the May 2nd main event in New York, a card that will be streamed by DAZN. Garcia, 24-1 with 20 knockouts, recently announced he is reunited with trainer Derek James, who helped direct him to the April 20th, 2024 3-knockdown majority decision win over Devin Haney. That outcome was later converted to a no contest by the New York State Athletic Commission when Garcia submitted 3 positive tests for the banned substance Osterin. Comfortably favored, -900 according to DraftKings, Garcia, 26, has emerged from a turbulent 2024 that included a vandalism arrest in Beverly Hills, California, and his admitted alcohol use to become focused on this bout against a longtime rival and an ensuing October rematch against Haney in Saudi. Still, it's a promoter's prerogative to fret, and after the WBA lightweight belt holder Gervonta Davis recently classified Romero as the hardest puncher he has ever faced, and Davis defeated Garcia in 2023, De La Hoya is respectful of the matchup. He can be, but I think most people would agree that Teofimo's in deeper with Arnold, and Devin is in deeper with Jose than Ryan is with Rolly, and that's irrespective of Gervonta Davis's annotations about who punches harder. The odds makers have it the way they have it for a reason. Rolly can punch like a mule, and Ryan has been off for a year, De La Hoya said. Tied to a substantial plus 700 underdog and former unified 140-pound champion Jose Ramirez, 29-2 with 18 knockouts against Haney, 31-0 with 15 KOs, De La Hoya is more bold in touting his guy's chances at posting an upset. Ramirez is coming in guns blazing, De La Hoya said of the 32-year-old, feeling the desperation of a November loss to Arnold Barboza Jr. by a narrow unanimous decision win in Saudi. He senses the opportunity. De La Hoya, who watched Garcia drop and repeatedly batter Haney with left hooks in their Brooklyn fight last year, has a powerful theory to test in 1 month. I feel Devin Haney is a shot fighter after what Ryan Garcia did to him, De La Hoya said. De La Hoya was then asked, can a fighter crumble from 2-division world champion to shot that quickly? It happens that quick. Yes, De La Hoya answered. I've seen Haney's demeanor. He looks lost. Look, Ramirez still has his power, his legs, and a left hook. So I guess it all depends on how you define shot. What is it when a fighter is shot? How I define it is a guy who's been battered so much, all of his punch resistance is gone, in tandem with his timing and reflexes. Whatever attributes made the fighter formidable in their prime are now gone, and that's how I define a shot fighter. And usually when we're talking about shot fighters, we're talking about guys that have been through the ringer much longer than Devin Haney. Is it possible for a fighter to become a shot fighter after just one fight? I would say it is. All it really takes is one life-altering beating, one career-altering beating to render a fighter a shot fighter. But I'm not convinced that that's what happened to Devin Haney at the hands of Ryan Garcia. People seem to forget that he actually won rounds in that fight, and he finished the fight on his feet. Physically, I don't think he's shot. Psychologically, however, that is something else. So maybe what Oscar De La Hoya is seeing in Devin Haney now, close to a year after the beating that he suffered at the hands of Ryan Garcia, is psychological damage, psychological trauma, in tandem with dealing with a hostile crowd. He's become a social pariah almost overnight. In his own mind, Ryan Garcia is the fighter who tested positive for a banned substance. Ryan Garcia is the fighter who cheated, and somehow that's been spun around to where Devin is the bad guy. He's been humbled, and I think that's what Oscar De La Hoya sees. Not necessarily a shot fighter in the physical sense, but maybe the psychological one. He has a very enthusiastic former unified champion in Jose Ramirez to now contend with that I think, stylistically, is a dangerous fight for Devin. Can't be feeling all that confident. Where for Jose Ramirez, this is a lifetime opportunity. You're catching Devin Haney at the right time, at a time where he's feeling human, less than confident, he's been humbled, and stylistically, you're not under much threat of being knocked out by Devin Haney, that's for sure. I wonder how Devin is going to deal with the come-forward aggression of Jose Ramirez, a mid-range to inside pressure fighter, not too graceful, but does he need to be? The left hook. There's been a lot of talk about how Devin Haney consistently failed to defend himself against Ryan Garcia's left hook. I think that he would have patched up those holes in the last 11 or 12 months. Keep the right hand high to catch that left hook. The issue is with Jose Ramirez, it's not just a single shot. This guy's gonna throw punches and bunches to open you up. He's not as fast as Ryan or as explosive as Ryan, but he is persistent and he has size. Jose Ramirez was always very big for 140. So even if he's not as fast as Ryan, he is a prolific puncher, he is experienced, he's been in there with some really good guys, and now he's going to be in there with a less than confident Devin Haney. For me and my money, this is a 50-50 fight. I don't know that Devin Haney has the answers for this guy. In the past, the guys that have beaten Jose have been harder punchers, much harder punchers than Devin Haney that land with more authority. It's a good fight. It's intriguing. And even though Devin, at least on paper, is still an unbeaten fighter, this fight has the feel of a crossroads fight. You know, Jose Ramirez, he's already got a couple of losses. He needs this win. But so does Devin. The rest of Devin Haney's career is on the other side of this fight. His potential redemption, his chance for revenge against Ryan. He needs this win, but they're not making it easy for him. Perhaps it's not supposed to be. Trial by fire, as they say. If he can make it through this assignment, he will emerge stronger than he was before. The confidence-building fight that perhaps Devin Haney needs. We'll see what shakes out early next month on the 2nd. More immediate future, this weekend's big heavyweight showdown, Daniel Dubois picks the winner of Joyce versus Hrgovic. He means business. Joyce and Hrgovic's fight this weekend throws up many interesting talking points. Joyce is facing pressure over his form, having lost 3 of his previous 4 bouts, 2 defeats to Zhilei Zhang, then Derek Chisora, have raised question marks over whether he should retire. Before the Zhang fight, Joyce was the WBO interim heavyweight champion, meaning he was in a position to face Alexander Usyk, who later went on to become undisputed. Meanwhile, Hrgovic also has a chip on his shoulder. He suffered the first loss of his career in his previous bout when he faced Daniel Dubois. The latter knocked him out, as he became the IBF interim heavyweight champion. Dubois was then elevated to the full champion status once Usyk vacated. The loser knows they will have a long way to go before they can get back to big-time boxing. Dubois faced the 2 fighters as he gave his thoughts on the matter. Joyce stopped Dubois after the latter suffered a fractured orbital bone, which raised the suggestion that Daniel Dubois has quit in fights. He also suffered this criticism when Usyk stopped him off a jab and Daniel failed to beat the count in time. He didn't quit against Joe Joyce. He had his orbital bones in his eyes were broken. They were broken in 4 places, and the specialist said he would have wound up losing sight in his eye with a detached retina. Listen, if you want to have a look at the medical report, you can. He was out for a long time while it healed. I'll take it up with my new mate, but one thing's for sure, he did not quit against the #1 mandatory fighter in Elif Turhann. He was under pressure in the first 2 rounds, and he certainly didn't quit against Jarrell Miller. I don't think he quit against Usyk, Frank Warren stated. If the guy had a busted eye socket, why was so many people saying that he quit? And maybe it's because they saw another fighter suffer that same injury but power forward and secure the W. I'm talking about Naoya Inoue, who suffered a fractured orbital bone in the first Nonito Donaire fight off a hard left hook. And in spite of that, he didn't give up. He kept fighting and he won. I'm not castigating Daniel Dubois for what happened in the Joyce fight. I'm just elaborating on where that sentiment came from. Why do people say that he quit?
That might have something to do with it.
Now, Daniel has since rebounded off of all of that in a big way. He silenced Hrgovic when he stopped him. That win made him the IBF interim heavyweight champion. Daniel later went on to become the full IBF champion and defended it by stopping Anthony Joshua, who was favored to beat him going in his last fight. Dubois has plenty to say over the fight, saying Hrgovic can win. I think Hrgovic can win it. He's got a good style. He's had the time to rebuild, so I'm looking forward to it. It's interesting. Is Joe going to come in and maul him? I'm looking forward to see what Hrgovic is like now. I heard an interview the other day where he said he's ready and means business, so we'll see, Dubois said. Joyce and Hrgovic know that another loss will push their stock down even further. With the introduction of the Saudis into boxing, there is an opportunity to capitalize on big fights to end their careers with their financial future secure. It is a must-win fight for the both of them.
I think more so for Joe than Philippe.
Joe's got less time and more miles on the odometer. He's older than Philippe Hrgovic with more losses. Philippe only has one recorded loss to Joe Joyce's 3.
Looks like Daniel's going with Philippe Hrgovic to win the fight. That's what that sounded like. And he's not the only one. Matchroom impresario Eddie Hearn is singing a similar tune.
Eddie's predicted an early night for Joe on Saturday as he takes on one of his former fighters in Philippe. Joe has always been slow in the ring. He's never looked like this sensationally skilled fighter. In the past, he's been extremely tough and he can whack. He's a big lump. He's got a great chin. As his career has progressed, the punch resistance has changed. Shots from Chisora that hurt him would never have hurt him before. The two Zhang defeats, thousands of rounds of sparring, have been a problem.
What sounds to me like a roundabout way of calling Joe Joyce a shot fighter. That's what it sounds like Eddie Hearn is saying without saying it outright.
We just talked about Oscar De La Hoya's contention that Devin Haney is a shot fighter, where I think that Joe Joyce is a better example. Philippe Hrgovic himself said, "I'll knock him out. Loser's career goes dark." With Joyce reeling from a 3-fight skid and Hrgovic desperate to rebound from his knockout loss to Daniel Dubois, the stakes couldn't be higher. Hrgovic, 32, mocked Joyce's age, 39, and speed, vowing to exploit his slow style. But Joyce fired back. "I fought him before. I know what's coming."
Maybe you did, but you were a younger and more durable man then than you are now.
Philippe Hrgovic went as far as saying that Joyce is slow, like a fog.
That's messed up.
Now, I kind of want to sit this one out and just let it unfold, see what happens. But I do understand the rationale and why so many people are leaning towards Philippe to win this weekend over Joe. Could be that Joe's time is come and gone.
Those 2 knockout losses to Zhang took too much out of him too fast.